All right, normally we're pointing our lens at some big, complex research paper or a major news story. But today, we're doing something a little different. We're turning the lens on ourselves. One of you sent in a fantastic question that really got us thinking. How exactly do we put this show together? So what better way to answer that than, well, the only way we know how, by making an explainer about making an explainer. So, this is what kicked the whole thing off. A viewer challenged us to do a deep dive on our own process, to ask ourselves the big questions. What's the reason for these explainers? How do they actually work? And what's the deal with our strict focus on sources? Honestly, we thought it was a brilliant idea. So brilliant, in fact, that we're making it the source for today's entire explainer.
So yeah, we're using let's call it a slightly different kind of source today. We're literally turning the camera around to show you exactly how the sausage gets made.
Okay, let's dive right into the first big question from our source. Maybe the most important one. Why do we even do this? What's the point of these explainers in the first place? You know, our whole mission, the reason we exist, really boils down to tackling one big modern problem. And I'm pretty sure you felt it too. It's that feeling you get when you're scrolling your newsfeed or trying to wrap your head around a new scientific breakthrough. Yep, information overload. It's that feeling, right? You're just swamped, drowning in data, opinions, hot takes, all of it. It feels like it's getting harder and harder to just see things clearly. We have all the information in the world, but not nearly enough clarity. And that gap, right there, that's where we live. So our job, as we see it, is to jump into that chaos and find the signal in the noise. We take all that complex, dense material and transform it into a story that's clear, that's engaging, and that, actually makes sense. The goal is always to help you understand the world a little bit better, one topic at a time.
Okay, so that's the why, but what about the how? How do we go from a huge, sometimes messy, source document to this?
Well, it's not magic, I promise. It's actually a pretty methodical 4-step process that we follow every single time. It's our playbook for getting from source to screen. Okay, so it all kicks off with step 1. We deconstruct the source. We basically take it apart, piece by piece, to find the key arguments, the data, the main ideas. Then, step 2 is all about finding the core narrative. We're asking ourselves, okay, what's the real story being told here? Once we've got that, we move to step 3, which is structuring that story. We lay it all out so it flows logically. And finally, step 4, we design the slides, picking the best way to visually represent each point to make it pop. And hey, see that? What we just did on that last slide? That's a perfect little example of our philosophy in action. I mean, we could have just given you a big wall of text to read, right? But breaking it down into 4 simple steps, it's just cleaner. It's visual, it's organized, and it's way easier to grasp instantly. And that's always the goal. And this really shows that every slide we use has a very specific job to do. You know, a definition slide, like the one we used for information overload, perfect for just nailing down a key concept. But a step slide? That's our go-to for explaining a process. We're always thinking about the right tool for the job to make the information stick. Which brings us to the final and honestly, the most crucial question from our viewer. Why and how do we follow our sources so religiously? This gets right to the heart of what we do. It's all about trust, because really, everything we do is built on that one single thing. Trust. Your trust. Your trust that what we're presenting is a faithful, honest look at the source material. If we don't have that, well then what's the point? So let's get really clear about our rules. Okay, this right here, this is our North Star, our golden rule. Source fidelity. It's a simple but absolute promise to you. Everything you see, everything you hear is grounded directly in the source we're covering for that explainer. Period. We don't bring in our own opinions, we don't pull in outside data. Our job is just to explain the source. That's it. So, from that one big rule, these guiding principles just naturally follow. First, and this is a big one, no outside material gets added. Ever. Second, we make sure to give a balanced representation, especially if the source has different viewpoints. Third, we organize the info for logical flow, not to push any kind of agenda. Fourth, when a topic is, let's say, charged, we never take sides. We just lay out the arguments. And finally, maybe the most important summary of it all, we distill, we don't invent.
So when you put it all together, from why we do this, to fight that information overload, to how we do it with our 4-step process, and all of it built on our absolute commitment to the source, it all comes down to one thing. We turn sources into stories you can trust.
And there you have it. Who knew one great question could spark a whole explainer about, well, us? But now that you've seen behind the curtain, we're going to turn the question right back over to you. What's the next big thing we should tackle? What complex topic or tricky article or big idea do you want to see us break down next? Let us know what you think. Thanks for tuning in.